So the perennial theme in so much spiritual and artistic study is this idea of paradox, whether that's manifesting in chiaroscuro or, the idea of Atman and Brahman, of, this big self and small self, of this universal consciousness and individuality. And in the arts, we also have a lot of this idea of paradox again, too, in both like the technical as well as the kind of larger expressive way we think about a particular art form. And in acting, a lot of that, especially like the different forms of method acting that have come out of Stanislavski and were innovated by the various American masters like Uta Hagen and Stella Adler, Sanford Meisner, and others, Harold Clurman. There's this idea of my inner experience and suturing that and marrying that with my outer experience. Like I'm very alive to the emotions of myself or my character, living truthfully as my character under the imaginary circumstances of the given premise of the play, but also integrating that with what my scene partner is giving me, both as just a human physically in front of me and also as their character. And what is also, and like reacting to what happens. Like if someone throws something onto the stage, if you're truly going for verisimilitude and what it would be like to realistically, experience that, you would pick up the thing and move it off to the side. You wouldn't pretend like it's not there, right? So we're always looking for that integration. And in spiritual practice too, we talk so much about integration. Or in Alexander, anytime you are evolving the self in any sense of the self that we could mean it, and we're acquiring new skills or we're expanding its capacity, is a growing pains period or just a period of more consciously aligning the inner and the outer, the light and the dark, the up and the down, so to create a more vibrant and evolved version of the thing itself. And so going back to this idea of the inner and the outer in acting, we often would talk about that in terms of rhythm, not just in terms of like the rhythm within a monologue where the speech cadence is slowing down or speeding up, or there can be like a beat change, not beat as in like rhythm, bop, 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 but beat change as in like the thought has changed. And so the color or the flavor of what's being expressed can change based off of where the character's mind is. But there's a specific conversation about rhythm in this book called, very appropriately, Acting by Richard Boleslavsky. And it's the final chapter of this book. The book is set up as these 6 little lessons spoken to or directed at a young ingenue who comes to him as this like naive young girl who wants to be an actress. And by the end of it, she's an established actress. And so she's coming back over several years for these lessons. And it's a little dated in how it's set up, but it's really a book on life. Just the way that Chekhov's plays are, I think, a Bible on humanity. This book is also not just for actors, but for any kind of creative, contemplative person. It's a sacred text of sorts. I had a famous acting teacher who was also a serious Buddhist practitioner who used to refer to it as a Bible that he kept on his nightstand, not because of what it reminded him of as an actor, but really what it reminded him of as a human. And I so feel that way. And I mostly just reread the last few chapters, the one that we're going to end with. And many of my students, I've shared this over the years in group meditations and group dinners and stuff. But I feel even if just 1 or 2 more people hear it, all the better. Because we talk about this idea of rhythm in life and in all the arts. Like there's literally a Cy Coleman song, The Rhythm of Life. And it's actually a very easy concept. You don't have to be musical to be aware that there is a rhythm in everything. It's why I think that musicians, whether they're trained in the kitchen or not, tend to be really good in the kitchen because they are very accustomed to understanding rhythmic in a fundamental sense. They know how to like leave the vegetables on just long enough to saute while they're cutting this other thing to add the nuts. Like there's just an intuitive understanding of how to live in sync with all of the different rhythms to harmoniously create a song, so to speak, or the song of a meal or the offering of some culinary thing. The 6 lessons are constructed as, he's first talking to her about in the early days how she has to train her physical body, and she has to spend 2 hours a day stretching and toning, and because the body is the instrument for both a singer, an actor, and a dancer. And then by the end, they're talking about this idea of rhythm. She's been a successful actress, but she doesn't necessarily feel that, I don't know how she phrases it, but that she's as able to mine the depths of the human experience or whatever in her art. And so he's speaking to her about what the artist is just a reflection of the world, and you can't be a reflection of the world if you are not a part of the world. And how do you become a part of it? Is you learn to listen, and you learn to suture that internal experience with the external experience through awakening to rhythm. And there's rhythm in everything. Really what makes music different, because there's only so many cadential patterns and note permutations we can have, are the infinite amount of permutations we can have with regard to rhythm. So the master says to the young student, music and the other arts which follow naturally will be only an open road to the whole of the universe, in regards to rhythm, that is. Don't miss anything in it. Listen to the waves of the sea, absorb their sweeping change of time with your body, brain, and soul. Talk to them as Demosthenes did, and don't weaken after the first attempt. Let the meaning and rhythm of your words be a continuation of their eternal sound. Inhale their spirit and feel at one with them, even for an instant. It will make you, in the future, able to portray the external parts of universal literature. Go through the same experience with woods, fields, rivers, sky above. They turn to the city and swing your spirit to its sound as you did in its creative rattle. Don't forget the quiet, dreamy small towns. And above all, don't forget your fellow men. Be sensitive to every change in the manifestation of their existence. Answer that change always with a new and higher level of your own rhythm. This is the secret of existence, perseverance, and activity. This is what the world really is, from the stone up to the human soul. The theater and the actor enter this picture only as a part, but the actor cannot portray the whole if he does not become a part. So, yeah, if you want to heal the world, start listening to the rhythm of the world, become a part of the world, and move in harmonious, rhythmic tandem with the world as it is, not as you wish it might be.